Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sparta HQ Network and the Black Man Unfiltered Network. This is the gray area. Again, simulcasting on both platforms. Going to ask, certainly, as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in on both platforms. Certainly helps us out greatly on both. And certainly, when you come in tonight, also consider dropping a cash app or a super chat to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Certainly, we appreciate your support and any support that you want to give us individually. You can see certainly our Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We appreciate you guys being with us once again for another hopefully enlightening discussion tonight. And, so it's just good to be in a place on this Sunday. But before we get started, sir, the Spartan, how are you, sir?
This is Sparta!
Always like to start out the show with that. Good to see you, sir. Yasu, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How are you tonight?
Could be better. My team played awful in the second half today. So, again, I don't have anything to celebrate about tonight as far as my football team. But, but other than that, things are going well.
Dude, did you see how bad it just played today?
Well, see, that's the only thing that gives me grace out here because any Jets or Giants fan that's around me, they don't have much to say either. So again, that's what keeps me from. If I lived in Baltimore, that'd be a problem. So I kind of avoid all that. But you take the wins and the losses. But other than that, feeling pretty good. Got my deep tissue massage a few hours ago, so we're still working some kinks out of my back, and just making sure that I'm staying healthy. We're going to be traveling in a couple weeks out of the country, so just getting ready for that. So just a lot of things sort of going on in preparation. In fact, my daughter, she's going on her second trip. She went to Dallas for some training earlier. Now she's on her way to Chicago for another set of training and whatnot. So she's becoming a frequent traveler as well. So yeah, so it's household is mostly empty. Everyone's off kind of doing their own things or whatnot. So it's it's a change, but certainly it's a welcome one, and certainly needed, particularly when it comes to their development. So overall, I can't complain. Life is good. Life is good.
Oh, that's good, bro. How's she doing with the whole traveling? I know that's new for her.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly it's like anything else. It's like a muscle. You got to get, overcome your fears of, certain things. So she's, I think she's fairly comfortable with air travel. The interesting thing is she's not that comfortable with driving. So that's the thing we have to kind of get her over. She likes, she'll go locally, but getting on like parkways and turnpikes and, long road trips and things like that, she's still a little skittish about. So, we just got to make sure we try to break her out of that and get her, in more no ideal situations, but it's just like anything else. It's just the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it over time. So it's just one more thing to overcome. The other two, they kind of went through it as well, but they kind of got over it. So just hoping the same thing here, and so just making sure that she's able to thrive in all areas. But certainly her job in general is going to have her traveling to several sites and locations around the country. So that's something that I think certainly for someone who's young, I think I don't know if I could live certainly at my age, even though I've done some travel in recent months. I don't know if I want to make that a living, at least at this point. Even though my kids are grown, I mean it's nice, to have some new experiences. It's certainly great getting the travel miles, but being too far, too many times away from my wife. We talked about that on another show. The lonely nights and all that kind of stuff. So I would rather every once in a while do a little traveling, but you have some people who basically live out of a briefcase or out of a suitcase, and they go from city to city or sometimes country to country with some stuff. So I think that there's a certain time in your life where I think that is something that you can certainly embrace, but I don't think that's for everybody. And I think the luster of that will probably wear off over time. So we just have to see. My middle one, she's itching to travel, because that's definitely something that she enjoys doing for her personal, but she hasn't traveled for her work and business yet. So that's definitely something that she's looking forward to doing. So yeah,
That's a different animal when you do it for business versus what's called it for pleasure.
Mhm.
You pick where you're going. For
Yeah.
business, you have no choice. They can send you the boot dogs like you did.
Right. Yeah, but but in and of itself, it's a learning experience. Everywhere I've gone, it's always been it's a cultural experience. It's a learning experience. It's understanding that people don't think like you all the time, or have your same mindset. So either way, you learn. And at least that's the way I've put it. And even with my daughter and whatnot, it's the same thing. It's like use every trip, use every travel experience as an opportunity to learn more about the world, see how we're different, almost like kind of what we do on this show, the gray area, how the
Yeah.
world is different, and how at the same time we're very much the same. So definitely it is a an opportunity for her for this window of time. Who knows? She gets married and have kids. She may have a different, priorities at that point. But my thing is take advantage of it because it's interesting. When I was in Georgia, I met several people that I work with, very smart, intelligent people, no warehousing and whatnot, but they've never been on an airplane. It's crazy that sounds. Like I said, these folks they kind of grew up in the same area all their lives. For them, a vacation is driving to Florida or going to St. Louis or something like that. It's not like they just relish the idea of, oh yeah, I'm getting on an airplane. Some of them actually kind of shy away from it. So again, it's a different mindset, but it's like, when you're really comfortable with all then it's a different thing. But I know it's one in particular, very smart lady, but she has no intention on getting on an airplane unless she absolutely has to,
Mm.
and that's just that's kind of how she rolls. So yeah, it's so travel definitely teaches you more about the world that you can certainly get in your little bubble. And I think that's for anybody. That's a reason and encouragement to travel and to do
I
things
personally
that.
kind of grew up on planes, if you really think about it,
Yeah.
because Greece ain't back and forth all the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Greece was like airplane was like my second home almost.
Yeah. And I've known kids who traveled on airplanes as young as like 9, 10 years old. Like parents put them on a plane, and the plane gets there, and there's people there to greet them there. So I've seen kids like unattended on airplane flights,
I
or
did
at
it
least
myself.
young adolescents. So but it's just interesting. You'll still have people of a certain age, and they're still afraid of airplanes or travel or what have you. So uh, some people, just you kind of grew up with that. Especially if you come, I think also since if your parents come from like a foreign country, like I know a lot of my friends from India, like they'll come here and like when their kids became teenagers or pre-teens or whatever, they would send them to India for the summer, and they would just hang out with the grandparents and all the cousins and whatnot out there, kind of get a little bit of the culture. They didn't want their kids too Americanized, or at least they wanted them to recognize that, yes, you're in America, so appreciate what you have in America versus what's back home. I mean, there's good things at home, but there's also opportunities here as well. So, but shout out to Lost in Translation to Bill tonight. Appreciate you being here tonight, sir. As always, congrats on your Cowboys. Again, it's not a pleasant vibe in this area, but the Cowboys pulled it out. So congrats, congrats to the Cowboys for their win today and whatnot. So hey, I'm gonna be gracious in defeat.
I am upset with that game because they played my Giants,
Yeah,
Jets,
yeah.
and they looked promising. When they went in the overtime,
Mhm.
man, I don't know what happened. They fell apart.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just empty it on the field and you got nothing left. So it's just a matter of
Same thing with
who.
Jets, bro. Last week we were looking promising, and now this week I'm like, oh great, we're in
Yeah,
it.
back down to earth, back down to earth. Well, like I said, I was kind of flying high because we won the game, and then you saw the perform, and even going into halftime, we were up 14-7, and then we just went AWOL in the second half. So everything just sort of fell apart. So it's definitely not like I said, but that's the NFL. You live week to week with it,
Yeah,
and you
I
have
saw that
to.
interception with the Jets, and I'm like, okay, now they're kicking ass again,
Yeah.
and then it was like, that's it. Like,
Yeah, and I guess it was I wore my Steelers jersey. Like I went out with my daughter to the mall. We had to pick up a few things, and I
holy
put my. I'm not a very superstitious person, but sometimes I think if I get too invested in a game, we lose. So I put my Steelers. I had my Franco Harris jersey on, and we went to the mall and whatnot. And again, feeling pretty good on the outset, and then we lost. It was like, and then the back of my mind said, "Yeah, I knew it. I should have worn my jersey today." So I have all kinds of things. It's like the when I say, oh, they're doing terrible, they win, and then when I get yeah, and then they disappoint me. So I don't know. I'm still sort of working that out in terms of what tactics to use when I'm rooting for a team that gives me agita every week. It's always something. Like I just want to have a week where we just have a nice, easy win. You know what I mean? Fourth quarter, 6 minutes left, you pull the starters out and you guys just relax and just run out the clock to the end of the game. I'm just waiting for one of those. But every year, it's like it's a nail biter or a disappointer or something like that. But it's like I just can't enjoy the game. I'm just stressed out over time. But we can talk about that, certainly much us, certainly for those on the BMU network, stay tuned for the one-on-one sports show on Wednesdays on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, where certainly we'll talk about this week in the NFL, as well as the super fights over the weekend. Canelo Alvarez loses to Terrence Crawford, so we're going to talk about that and chop that up with, get the gang together there to talk about the fight and the future of boxing. So all that'll be discussed Wednesday on the sports show. But with all these things talk about sports, the main topic tonight is that we're talking about gambling. And gambling, it might be as old as they say prostitution is like the oldest profession, but gambling is like right up there. It's like human beings have always had a desire or reason to take risks in some sort of gaming capacity to try to earn money, or just a sense of winning. Like, it's like when I was reading up on this, they were talking about like just the endorphins that are released in some people when they win. It could be a poker game, it could be an online game, it could be, like I said, betting. If you in sports betting, your player did well this week, or your team won and you want some money, or there was an office pool that you went into and you picked the score. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to gamble and to bet, and it's just so ingrained in human culture globally. It's not just a U.S. problem, although we are the biggest consumers of it. In fact, I just got some stats here. Just want to talk about now. These are some stats I just pulled from several sources here. Just like I always like to frame the discussion. So the U.S. is certainly clearly number one in the world. 116 billion in losses, meaning you didn't win anything. But people still love to gamble. There's about 2,000 casinos, certainly in the United States. What's surprising is China is second, even though it's sort of a different economy and whatnot, but gambling is still prevalent there. But if you look at this, it's mostly in a lot of developed nations where the gambling is the highest, right? So Japan, all these high-end, very cosmopolitan type of places, gambling is just a part of people's lives. And so, I'm always curious as to why people gamble. Like, what's because it really doesn't do anything for me per se. Like, my wife and I, we'll go to Vegas or whatever. We may spend maybe $10, $20 max, and we'll stretch that out for some slot games or something like that. And when we're done, we're done. It's like it's not. It's not something that we get a lot of enjoyment or entertainment out of. And these days, I was just reading some stats recently that actually Vegas is in trouble because what used to draw people to Vegas was the gambling. But because of online gaming and sports betting, you really don't have to go there. I mean, there was places where you went in the country to gamble. You went to Atlantic City, New Jersey. You went to Las Vegas or Reno. You went to, Pennsylvania, like the Poconos, or Connecticut, like with the Indian, with the Native American reservations and stuff. But there weren't like a ton of places throughout the country where you can go and gamble.
Yeah. So in my area, the mountain area is pretty new. I think maybe 20 years tops has been open.
Mm-hmm.
But Wilkes-Barre has been open for a while. Caesars, I think it is.
Yeah.
So I've been gambling. So one thing I want to definitely will say with you, Paul, you're a very disciplined person. Mm-hmm. So your discipline kicks in. Like, I don't really want to spend my money. I prefer to spend my money on any equipment of working out or something in my house.
Right. Well, I think it runs a little deeper. I think a lot of it we'll see in my dad. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well, mm-hmm. as far as the ways in which people do gamble. Just seeing my dad growing up, like my dad, as long as I could remember, at least as long as he was able to place his own bets. He always played the lottery every day. So in New Jersey, You have the pick 3, you have the pick 4, and you have the pick 6. The pick 6 was basically that evolved into like the mega jackpot, the mega millions, or whatever it was, or whatever. But the pick 6, the idea is if you win that, you don't have to work for the rest of your life and whatnot. And you had a lot of people, surely even in my dad's time, sort of blue collar workers. It was just a weekly form of life. Now with him, it was like a daily thing. And a lot of times when I got of age, I would place the bets for him. So he would give me his numbers, and he usually played the same numbers all the time. He never did like the random thing, just have him pick, just here. These numbers, I got to play them. And he had his own superstitions about what numbers to pick. Like he said, if he saw a car accident, the first thing he would do is look at the license plate number of the car. And then he would play in the pick 3. He would play like the 3 digits of the license plate number in the lottery. So that was just something I just kind of grew up with. But when I became a teenager and I started to like count it up, like how much he was spending on a yearly basis, it was over a couple $1,000s a year. And the number of times he may have hit or won the lottery, I could probably count 5 times in all the years that I was with him that he actually won something. Mm-hmm. But if he won, then you couldn't tell him anything, right? It could have been like 3, 4, 5 years since the last time he won. But if he won, he had bragging rights. I told you I was going to win and whatnot. It was just something that that he just did. And I guess from that day on, I just never was just interested in gambling. Now, look, if someone's going to give me some scratch off tickets or whatever, and because sometimes, you're at work and they do like, 50-50 and raffles and stuff like that. You may get like some scratch offs. So yeah, I mean, I'll play them, but if I don't win anything, I'm not hurting for them. And I'm certainly not spending my own money necessarily to get them, like I said, unless it's some sort of raffle or something like that. So that was just something that it just became a turnoff, and it was just not something that I gained a lot of interest in. Now, again, I'm very competitive, even in gaming. Like if we're playing Monopoly or we're playing poker or spades, I mean, just for fun. I mean, yeah, I can be very competitive. I love winning. I love seeing you lose. I love you getting upset because you got a bad hand. I like the competition. But if you're going to say we're going to start putting money on it, I'm like, absolutely not. I mean, it's like I get enough satisfaction just out of seeing you get mad and lose. I've been in Monopoly games where the guy flipped over the board because he was so pissed off because he landed on Boardwalk or Park Place with all my hotels on it, and he basically bankrupt. So he just kind of flips the table over and just leaves. I love all that, but outside of the gaming aspect of it, it really hasn't been a thing for me, as far as, like just entertainment. But clearly in this country, I mean, we lead the world in it. Just some commentary on this. So again, United States, obviously the world's biggest gambler, and this really skyrocketed when the Supreme Court case came out where they overturned a federal law in 1992 prohibiting sports betting in most states. Around 26% of adults placed bets on the Super Bowl in 2024, totaling around $23 billion in wagers. That amount rose by $7 billion compared to the previous year. So it is definitely, the online betting, the sports betting, when that broke, that opened up a floodgate, because everybody was doing their own little private pools and things of that nature. But when it became legal, and then you can't watch a game, you can't, if you have an app with some gaming apps or something like that, you can't go by without hearing DraftKings or some other online sports betting.
It's all over the place now.
Yeah, so it's just
even wrestling, bro, we know wrestling is predetermined. Even that you can put that on now.
That is the craziest thing. But I mean, I guess it's going to be based on your knowledge of storylines or just how you're able to read the tea leaves of how storylines are going to go. I guess is how people kind of figure that out. But yeah, I agree with you. If stuff's predetermined, you really got to be invested into the weekly storylines in order to kind of get an inkling of what's going to happen in a certain event. I think these days, certainly the WWE, I guess they try to keep you guessing in terms of who's coming back. I know AJ Lee came back a couple weeks ago and everybody's popped. But it was weird because even then even in the stand, you saw people with AJ signs. So it wasn't like they didn't know that she was going to show up. You know what I mean? So if they were trying to keep
She kind of
that a secret, you know,
CM Punk kind of like blew the secret at the last pay-per-view. He was pointing at signs stuff like that, so it was like the most not keep secret out there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, whatever happened to kayfabe, you know.
no, KP is kind of gone at this point.
I know. I'm just asking. But the kayfabe era, that never would have happened. You know, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
yeah. But yeah, so it's big here. But and again, when that law was reversed by the Supreme Court, here you got 38 states where it's still where it's legal. But what I find interesting though is that Texas and California, it's still not legal. And I'd be curious, you know, if VMU was back, you know, if he can shed some light. I'm a little bit surprised. I know it's a conservative state, but again, you see Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. You know, you have a lot of these states that allow it in the South. So I don't know if it's just a cultural thing or it's just, you know, is it? But California is surprising me though why it's not legal there. So you can't even say it's necessarily a Southern thing because obviously California is a very liberal state. But as of this writing, this article came out October 2024. Is still, you know, it's sports betting is still illegal in California, which again is a little bit surprising to me. But you see here the availability of sports betting in all these locales. Now, what you also have now in China, again, technically in China, gambling is illegal. All right, surprisingly, it's the second largest in the world, despite it being illegal, 62.4 billion in winnings. It says illegal gambling also remains common. Clandestine casinos, unofficial lotteries, and betting on card games such as mahjong. But I did know about Macau. Macau is a Chinese territory, but it's like it's the Las Vegas of the Far East because I know there have been like some boxing matches, like Manny Pacquiao. I think he might have fought there one time. And so there, it's like the whole, you know, gambling mecca of the Far East is in Macau. So that I did know. So I guess, you know, there's certain, regions, I guess, where it's allowed. But these are the two biggest. And I'm not going to go to the top 10. I just want to kind of go there now.
I do know, like, with gambling, I know it came out, the most closest historical accuracy, and Mariana just posted it too, is about 3,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying 3,000 to 4,000. So that's like around there. And it started in China, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. What would you know from I guess a Greek or Roman background? It was because I know you had the Olympics back, you know, obviously started in Greece and whatnot. So I mean, was there a gambling component that you know
absolutely.
of?
You know, they used to gamble in the games, and like the Olympic games, the Roman game, you know, the gladiator games, anything they could gamble back then, they would back in, you know, medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the modern time, gambling's still around, like scratch off, you know, lottery. You know, you have a guy walking around with a big stick and he has lottery tickets and scratch and he's going like, you know, get your lottery, 6-0. And he has, you know, I'm not doing it correctly, but he has a voice, you know, he's trying to make money. You know what I'm saying? And here's an actual funny story. My mom being my mom, you know how my mom is by now.
Mm-hmm.
So she paid our 1 year vacation playing scratch offs. I'm not shitting you, man.
Wow. Yeah.
So she used to go to this every afternoon after work. She'd stop, get a pack of cigarettes, and get scratch offs. One day she got a big bonus at work.
Mm-hmm.
She was a nanny at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to the guy, I want this. And like, you go, Anna, come on, chill out, Annie. And like, you're going too far here. Like, and like, I want the money. Don't get me wrong, but as a loyal customer, I can't let you do it. Like, no. You go, fuck you. I want those. She literally randomly picked them. No, but she didn't pick from the same row. She picked them
right. She spread it around. Yeah,
because she felt like they were rigged, and she won most of them.
Wow.
And that's how she paid for our Disney vacation. She tells us so everywhere. I'm like, wow, what's the luck of that?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It is luck, but again, that sort of one in a billion type of thing is like because I remember even the way they marketed here. Like I remember they used to talk about like whether it be the New Jersey lottery or Powerball or whatever, says all you need is $1 and a dream. I remember that ad campaign for years that it was just so prevalent with people, and you hear these stories about people winning and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, people get so then. Was your dad a big scratch off or
No,
played the lottery at all? He
no.
wasn't a big. Okay, that's
And
good.
sometimes I'll play a little bit here and there, but nothing
Hmm.
like crazy, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
Even
again, just
when
like
I
anything
go,
else, it's like moderation, and it's not. We're not here, seeing, and statistics don't show it that everyone, half the population is addicted to gambling or whatnot. In fact, it's a very small number of people. I think they say globally, it's about 1.2 to 1.6% of the global population is addicted to gambling, which is not a large number. I mean, it
no,
is overall when you consider the population of the world, but the idea here is not it's not everybody who gambles is addicted to gambling. But I have seen up close how people spend their time, especially a lot of senior citizens or whatnot, when they're in the slot machines and whatnot, and they're just constantly playing. And the crazy thing about it is it's almost like they don't even care if they win or lose. Like they'll keep pulling money in and pulling the slot down, whether they win or not or whatever. They just keep putting the quarters and dimes and nickels in and just keep pulling. So I'm like, what is?
I don't want
So
to
I'm
say
like,
names, but I knew a friend of mine. His sister got hooked on the game so bad,
mm-hmm,
like to the point they gave her what's called a black card. She should take if she had the money, she could continue playing and pay it back
mm-hmm,
later.
right,
Her balance got so high,
yeah,
literally her husband had to bail her out,
yeah,
and she was banned from the casino completely. She's not allowed to go down to the casino ever again.
right,
I'm like, when I go to casino, I have a rule. I leave my credit cards at home. I leave them all at
mm-hmm,
home. I bring only my ID because you need your ID to get
correct,
in. It doesn't matter what age you're in.
right,
And I only played $100.
mm-hmm,
The one year was New Year's Eve. I remember it was yesterday. Me and my boy, and like his name was George. It goes like, let's do something. It's New Year's. Let's go to the casino. All right, we're playing. He went to the different table, and he has a habit is dropping all his money in one number. Boom. And I'm like, and this is my second time at a casino now.
right,
So like, dude, you're stupid. I spread my shit out. $5 here, $5 there, and it builds up over time, slowly, right?
right.
And I'm winning now. I'm up. Like I started with 100. I'm up to a 200. Like fuck yeah, man. Like, and I'm about to cash out. So my boy comes over and I'm losing. Now what the fuck? I'm losing. I'm like, and he told me like, all my friends think I'm bad luck. I'm not really bad luck. I looked at him. I turned like, you are bad fucking luck, motherfucker. He turns around. He goes, fuck you. At that point, I was 100 now again. I cashed out and I ran with it. I broke even. So I knew when my luck is up. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
Do you only play slots or do you play at any tables?
Nah, I've never been on I mean, like I said, I play, online poker, just like I said, poker with friends or whatever. Yeah, but as far as going to a table and, playing roulette or playing, no, I've never
The
had
only
that
thing,
event. Yeah.
the only thing I do play is roulette. It's very easy rules. It's not hard, very hard to play. And one thing I learned about the casino is actually if you don't know the game and it's an empty table, they're willing to teach you those guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah.
And I actually had one of my old directors. He on the weekends he used to be a dealer too. So he used to come home at night like $400 or $500 tips. I'm like, shit, that's a good fucking night.
Yeah.
They make some very good money. Those
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you work in the gaming industry, you're good.
yeah.
I just wanted to kind of share some of these stats here, and I can close out so we can carry out the conversation.
Oh, my bad.
If anyone's curious as far as where the money goes, so again, most like state-run lotteries in terms of like where the money goes. So that you usually have breakdowns. So about 50 to 60% of the money goes to the winners. Certainly of the lotteries. Then you have the gaming the retailers, they get their cut, so every time you go in and play those numbers and they bling it up for you, they get paid. So that's why a lot of them have it there. It's not just, obviously there's money in it for them for just running it, administrative costs, and then there's public beneficiaries of that. And that's a thing that, still I've kind of always known, but I checked out some websites that kind of break it down for you. So again, you got education, senior programs and whatnot. In fact, I just got think another slide here. So just, where the money goes in every state. So again, Arizona, they pay for a ton of things from homeless shelters to university stuff, heritage funds. You got Iowa, veterans benefits come out of that. New Jersey, I always knew that part of the lottery certainly goes to education. California, same thing, education. But in Pennsylvania, since you live there, again, most of their money goes to 68% goes to the prize winners, 23% goes to the beneficiary programs, again, 7% to the retailers who sell the tickets, and then you have your operational expenses. So this is definitely a source of revenue for the state. And that's also something that we, have to, keep in mind also, that it's not just the people who benefit from obviously the gambling, but obviously these institutions, whether you're a gambling institution or not, everyone's making some money off of this. It's profitable
Absolutely.
it's profitable for the companies that are doing it, and then you're actually funding. In fact, I've heard people defend the reason why they play the lottery. They say, "Wait a minute, I'm funding schools." So that's one thing. Like
What
they're
comes to the
saying
lottery,
they're doing a good deed by playing, because look at all the charities and benefits and the schools and the education system and everything, or the that we're supporting. So I've seen people, all kinds of different justifications for it. But go ahead.
when it comes down to the lottery, I don't really play. Only time I really play, I know it's a big jackpot, and I might play $5 on it. And like I know the chance of me winning are very slim to none, but it's $5. It's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Once in a blue moon, I might do scratch off, but it's rare when I do the scratch offs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I won very rarely on scratch off too.
Yeah, shout out to True North Beer Company. Certainly in the house tonight. Appreciate it. Yeah, Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Great fun out there, but you got to stick with the budget. Absolutely. Uncasville, Connecticut. Yeah, absolutely. That is a major gaming.
Before you go, we got to get you up here, man. One of these days, we got to get you a nice interview out of you.
For sure. We love to have him on, talk about his company and his business and whatnot. So do you have his contact information?
Yeah, I do actually. I'll contact him again.
Okay, yeah, so True North. I mean, certainly, let's do that. Let's set that up, and we love to have you on to interview you for the gray area. Love to see how how an entrepreneur builds a business. So certainly we'd appreciate you being here tonight. So just wanted to kind of break that down in terms of where the money goes in most of the lotteries. But again, there are risks that come with it. So it says worldwide, 450 million people participate in what is called risk gambling, which can impact finances, mental health, relationships, work, according to the report, which is based on a review of analysis of prior gambling studies. Around 80 million people arrive at a severe form called gambling disorder or problematic gambling. And what's really increased over time is, again, the amount of young people who are involved in it because of online, because of the phone, because of these apps that allow you to gamble on your phone. So gambling odor affects nearly 16% of adults and more than 26% of adolescents. So you're talking about people under 18 who use online casinos or slot machine games. The report estimated addiction is estimated to affect almost 9% of adults and then 16% of teens who engage in sports gambling. This was from USA Today from October of 2024 last year. Here's from the World Health Organization. All right, so again, it's legally available in many countries. About 5.5% of women and nearly 12% of men experience some gaming on some level. A Swedish study estimated that those with a gambling disorder were 15 times more likely to delete themselves than the general population. In Victoria, Australia, at least 4.2 of deletions, self-deletions, were found to be gambling related. For every one person who gambles high risk, the average of 6 other, usually non-gamblers, are affected. This number is likely much higher in kinship cultures, including indigenous peoples. Gambling may also divert normal consumption expenditure from other businesses. So again, the domino effect is obviously if you're gambling your money, then you can't pay for other stuff. And then your family or those who are close to you also don't benefit from that. And one thing, even for a lot of those Native American organizations and associations that are, running these casinos, again, I would like to know personally, again, I can't speak to whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, But I'm just wondering how that money that's being generated from these casinos that they're running, and from what I also understand, that they don't even have to pay taxes, federal taxes, because again, these are usually federally protected lands and whatnot that they're able to operate these gaming commissions on. But how is it benefiting Native American people? Because when you talk about disorder, family disorder, and whatnot, a lot of people like to talk about African Americans and our issues with things, but even the Native American or Inuit indigenous peoples in this country, they also have a lot of problems: alcoholism, suicides, divorce rates, and they have a lot of problems. So I don't know how is any of the money that's being made from the casinos and from the revenues that they're generating, is it trickling down to help other people? That I don't know. I can't answer that. But certainly, certainly it can certainly put your family and those close to you at risk when it does spiral out of control into a problem. Here's an article from Wharton Business School. So again, this was why do people play the lottery? This came out just last month. Americans spend over $100 billion on lottery tickets, which is more than they spend on cigarettes or on music, sports tickets, movie tickets, books, and video games combined. Which is, I mean, that's a lot of that's a lot of money. And just I think Lost had brought the point up also. You're trying to hit the pick six or the Powerball or whatever. Said people buy more tickets every year, even though the odds of winning a jackpot are 1 in 300 million. I heard some status like you're more likely to be struck by lightning than it is to hit the lottery. But people play every year, and it's just something that that they're willing to spend their money on. And some of the reasons why is as consumers think differently about the lottery than they do alcohol, cigarettes, soda, and harmful products subject to so-called sin taxes. Like, so again, you pay, cigarettes, you get a high tax, when you buy cigarettes and things of that nature. Most don't consider buying a lottery ticket to be a mistake. Behavioral biases, including financial illiteracy, prompt lower income consumers to buy more tickets. Household incomes below 50,000 spend an estimated 30% more on tickets than households with incomes above 100,000. That doesn't mean that, again, you could be at any level, right? I mean, we got entertainers who are making like millions of dollars who have gambling addictions, and get into trouble with, casinos and whatnot. I've heard, certain entertainers, if you're performing in Vegas, but you got a gambling issue or whatever, you got to keep playing in Vegas in order to pay your gambling debts off. So, so you've heard of that. You've heard of that as well. So, you have people who, so it's not, I don't think it's necessarily subject to income, but I think across the board though, especially when it comes to playing the lottery or they said the picket systems and whatnot. Yeah, because you figure, okay, it's only a couple of dollars a day, and you don't think that's doing anything. So again, but like I said, same thing with my dad. He may spend $5 to $10 a day. In his mind, that wasn't a lot of money. But then once I started calculating, okay, how much a month, how much a year, how much over many years. And that's just money that's just out of the pocket. And then you're asking me for money. Because, again, I started working at, 15, 16 years old, and I was bringing in money. So when things got tight, you were asking me for money, but you were still spending money on lotto tickets. So that was something that, became a point of contention with us. So when he got to a point where he couldn't go out and buy his own tickets, and I got to a point where I'm not buying any more lottery tickets, is when it finally broke, where, he wasn't asking about it. But it was definitely something that was really, something I was able to see up close. Now, this you might have to help me read and break down because these are stats. So again, they talk about, again, February 2025. This is from the Greek Analyst. Basically, what they're saying is there's certainly a growing gambling addiction that is starting to occur in Greece. That Greeks are starting to spend more money in these lotteries and in these gambling endeavors than they are actually saving. Here again, another article from Philip. You're going to have to help me with that last name. But again, from December adolescents in particular are susceptible to online betting addiction. Out of the universe of Greek bettors, 40% of ages 17 to 24 bet online almost every day, while 78% of them bet on a weekly basis. There's another one here. Says Greeks gamble too much away, but invest way too little. Okay, so the gross gaming revenue is a key metric used by gambling and betting companies to assess their performance. It is the second highest in Greece across the European Union. Greece also exhibits one of the highest GGR per adult, according to currently. What is this sign? Is this like I guess this is like the Greek dollar sign. This that little symbol there. Is that like what's the Greek currency?
Yeah, that's excuse me. It's euro. Yes, that's the Greek version.
Okay, so yeah, 291 I guess euros per adult. This means that Greek bettors are extremely aggressive. So yeah, so people are putting serious money into gambling, even in Greece. And here, this is a breakdown again. I didn't understand necessarily the numbers, but I did recognize just from the legend on the bottom. So if you look at those 17 to 24, when it comes to like online gambling, yeah, they're putting a lot in there versus any other age demographics when it comes to gambling. So just lots of stats here. I don't want to belabor showing the stats all night, but I just want to kind of show that that certainly this isn't, like I said, it's not just a national problem for the U.S., but it's across the board that human beings just have this compulsion for some sort of gambling of some form of time. So if it's not the casino, it's the online thing, or it's sports, or it's the pools at work, or whatever it is. So we just as a humanity, just seems to have a craving for that. And so really what I'm curious about from your perspective, Pete, is why do you think that is? I mean, what is really driving? Well, you say you do it occasionally. I mean, what's really, is there some motive there? Is there something in the back of your mind that says, well, what if I do hit one day? I mean, what do you think is this driving people's just need for this particular endeavor versus, something else that could be arguably more productive?
If I had to say, and I'm talking a little bit out of my ass at this point, is easy money. Fast money. If you win a big, if you win a jackpot, you may never have to work again.
Mm-hmm.
But the rare of that, but people don't add the other things into it. The fees you have to pay for it, the taxes. How much are you really walking away with?
Yeah.
Not that much. I think it's more the rush. You get the paper, you have the paper and you're reading it, and he goes 23, 24, 80. I won. It's just the excitement behind it.
Yeah, like I said, there are endorphins that are released. Those feel good hormones that are certainly released when you win, when you do anything that brings you pleasure like that. The dopamine that's released for certain people it's a lot of times it's irresistible. And some people, just like anything else, if you have like an addictive personality, it may not be for some people, it may be alcohol. For other people, it may be sex. For other people, it may be something else. But there are some people where, again, when that thrill or that feeling of being involved or the possibility of winning, I think is certainly something that is attracted to a lot of people. And even the like I said, the thing to me is that the culture supports it, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that everybody, like, no one is going out, at least to my knowledge. We haven't had cigarette ads in this country since the 70s, right? They banned cigarette ads, I think, in 1970. No one's going out there saying have reckless sex or whatever, you know what I mean? But gambling is just like it's just promoted so much by famous people. I mean, whether it be LeBron James or who, all the sports celebrities and whatnot. I mean, you would think these guys, already making decent money through their contracts and other endorsement deals and whatnot. But DraftKings and all of these online gaming platforms. I mean, it's like it's so there's such a positive spin on it that you would think it'd be hard. At least the force of the marketing campaign is more than just you or I trying to tell our kids, yeah, don't go and gamble. Now, again, my kids, they have no desire to gamble. They may go out and drink a little alcohol or something like that, or they'll go, they'll like to, party, go on vacation or whatnot. But a casino, they have no interest in that, which I'm grateful for. But for other, but I think just it's how do you compete with a campaign that, again, I remember growing up when they used to talk about, sports betting and whatnot. It was bad. Commissioners of major sports franchises were saying it's bad for culture, it's bad for society, it's bad for the game.
Mm.
And now you have a lot of these same people who are in ads for these gaming platforms. And so when I think people got to a point where they say, hey, you know what? If there's money in this, we got to do it. And that seems to drive everything. Same thing with cannabis. Now, again, there's still some states that do not allow for cannabis. But that being said, a lot of markets have opened up for cannabis goods. We all know about the CBD. We know about the fabrics that are being made from cannabis right now. I mean, when it seems like when people, what seems to change people's minds has nothing to do with morals or ethics. It has everything to do with the money. Exactly. So if people find a way to monetize, I mean, like I said, even 10 years ago in this state, in New Jersey is fairly liberal. I mean, weed wasn't allowed. I mean, not even, I think medicinal weed might have came on board maybe 10, 12 years ago. And then like in the last maybe 3 or 4 years where they made recreational weed legal. And I got shops. I got four dispensaries like literally within a mile of my house. 4.
Yeah, Jersey and New York is one of 2 states, and Maryland. There are 3 states that I know off my hand right now that they're pretty close distance to me. That you can go walk into any dispensary, don't need a medical card, and buy anything you want.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, it's just, but it's like I said, I'm like, why are it's almost like I remember back in the day, like especially in urban areas or urban, neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, let's just be frank about it. You would always have like the liquor store, right? So people can get their beer, they can get their cigarettes and all that kind of stuff. And you would have like several of those. And it's almost like the liquor store is almost being replaced by the dispensary. Like, why? Again, I got 4. I can get in my car right now and be within all of these dispensaries in less than 5 minutes. In areas and communities where there's persons of color. So, and everybody was like, I know everybody in the state, you had a lot of people who were getting behind it saying, oh, well, this is, the first thing, which I thought was a good thing was, change the legal system so people with prior records of convictions for weed get those records expunged. I agree with that wholeheartedly, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But then people were like, oh, well, this needs to be a revenue stream where we can benefit from it. But again, I'm asking the question, are we benefiting from it? And again, I know we're going off a little bit off topic because of the gambling, but I think it still ties in. Here's the
funny thing behind that. I spoke to a couple of friends of mine that moved out of New York very recently, the last few friends I had. Mm-hmm. And they said ever since they made it legalized, the people who are selling on the street, it became even more a problem now. Being on the streets, so they didn't fix any problems. They caused a bigger problem because they didn't think this through at all. They just threw at the wall, darts at the wall, like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, and is there any? I don't even know what the regulatory is. Like, I would think if you went into an actual dispensary and bought the stuff, that is there some sort of like, testing going on? I mean, is it good? Is it what they say it is? Because
So
the
here's a
real,
little history
yeah,
lesson for everybody. Years ago, they legalized it at one time too. But here's a catch 22 now on that. When you was legalized, you had to bring your weed, your marijuana, to a inspection center to inspect it.
mhm,
But here's the problem: if you brought it there, it was illegal because
right,
you were out of law because you had to get inspected before you traveled with it.
right,
So I assume everything is like more correctly now.
mhm,
Like they're doing things more like, okay, yeah, he's getting tested correctly and all that stuff.
right,
But give you a better example, Paul. Like New Jersey's not too far from me. He's only maybe 15 minutes away crossing
right,
the border.
right.
So I can literally drive over the border, pick up whatever I want, and drive back to PA. Nobody can stop me because I'm not breaking any laws. Because I'm
Yeah.
taking buying this
Yeah,
from
well, it's interstate commerce, which I think was one of the things, even for the Supreme Court, why it went through was, and I think it was Roberts was actually deciding vote on that. It was like if as long as it didn't break I don't know if it's I forget it's the Establishment Clause or something like that, but it had to do with interstate commerce. So you had to sort of allow it because if you didn't, then again you're gonna have these states that have and some don't. Yeah, you couldn't allow that ban. People should be able to travel freely throughout the country with whatever they get or buy or sell or whatever. But then you run into issues. What about guns? What about other things where there's supposed to be state law, a mixture of state and federal laws when it comes to owning and possessing those things. But
give
yeah.
you another example, like tobacco. Technically, tobacco should not be travel across state lines.
Hmm.
Right? But does it? No cop is going to pull you over and say, "Hey, do you have tobacco from New Jersey or PA or wherever state you're from?"
Right, right.
They're not going to give a shit about
Yeah.
that.
Firecrackers used to be a thing also, but I think they took that away also. Like in New Jersey for years, it was illegal for you to buy firecrackers. You went to PA to buy firecrackers. But that changed, and now you got Walmart and Costco and every store in the area sells firecrackers now. But for a long time, folks would go to PA to get their firecrackers. And I remember driving on 78 West out towards where you are, and you saw all the signs, buy firecrackers here, especially around 4th of July weekend. Buy your firecrackers here now. Like I
So,
said,
from my understanding, when I was buying them at one point, I could not purchase them in PA because you needed an out-of-state license to buy them.
right,
Like, I mean, my dad had a New York license. I just didn't make my dad go buy them. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So a lot of people out of state bought them. It wasn't like even this, the small firecrackers you can buy them anywhere. But the big boomers, the big, fireworks, you had to go to a firework place to buy them.
right.
Now is the law the same? I don't know, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Last time I checked, it still was the same. Big fireworks, you still have to go cross state lines to pick them up and bring them
Right.
back.
Right.
But even if you my cousin did this once. He fired like a small sparkler or whatever it was, nothing crazy.
Mhm.
Cops were knocking on his door, like, you can't be doing that, dude. They just gave him a warning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, all you need though, I guess with that, I guess, all you need is a news story to come out that, oh, like a 5-year-old kid got his fingers blown off by explode, and that just sends everybody, all parents into a shock or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, we need to get rid of these
Roman
things
candles are known for that actually, because you literally light in it and you're holding it as it fires.
Right.
And that's kind of dangerous if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Those are the most known one that actually blows my hands off.
Yeah.
But if you light it and step 20 feet away and you're like, go off, I don't see a problem if you do it responsibly.
Yeah. Well, you even had what's that guy plays for the New York Giants? I don't know, it was Justin Tucker, or one of the defensive linemen. He had a couple fingers blown off of firecrackers. So for the rest of his career, he played like with a cast on his hand or something like that. But yeah, he was a former New York Giant who went that as well. But I'm just saying all this to say that certainly why these laws changed, whether it be ban on firecrackers or a ban on weed or cannabis or whatever. It just seems to be money is just driving everything. And again, what we might have grew up with, what that was said was bad, is now for some reason good. Gambling was like the same thing, for the longest time, especially in the sports leagues or whatnot. It was like taboo. It was a no. We all know about Pete Rose. We all know about guys caught up in scandals. We all know about game shaping and all those things. And I think a lot of those things are still illegal. But again, the idea that you had these companies coming on billions of dollars, and now they're so mainstream, they're sponsoring major sports leagues and teams and whatnot. I mean, major advertising dollars that's funding a lot of these leagues. NFL, they seem to just bought completely in. Where fantasy, I remember when fantasy started, it was basically guys in our office, some nerd guys who were good at mathematics, and they started, coming out with all these different ways you can bet, but it was almost like an internal thing. Everybody had their own little pool that they did when it came to sports betting, or at least fantasy. Like I said, I was there early on when fantasy came out, and I never had time for it because me, I'm sort of just a regular traditional guy. I like my teams, I like my players, but with fantasy, it's like, okay, you pick players that are not even on your team, and I'm such a loyal guy when it comes to my franchises and everything. I'm like, no, I mean, if he doesn't play for the Steelers, I don't care, if he's good. I can't root for the guy because again, I'm rooting for my team. But then that became.
I'll be honest with you, like people go that you want to know the stats. They know this. Like none of that shit matters when you're on the field. It is how you perform that day. So I care about performance. I don't care what your name's in behind your jersey. I don't care anything. I care how you play that day.
Yeah.
You give me a W. That's what I care about.
Yeah. But it's like I said, when the analytics guys came, took, like I said, I think it was just some guys, like I said, some guys in offices, they came out some way. So again, if your guy wins, you get a point. If your guy scores a touchdown, he gets a point. If he gets a sack, he gets a point or whatever. But then you had the data analytics guys took the whole thing over. And then people were like, hey, we can really make a profit, or we can make some money with this. And started taking advantage of those same analytics within the gaming space. So, so that but it's so normal now. And even if you look at our title banner tonight in the show, I think there's always been something about especially poker. There's always been some sort of romantic notion about the game of poker, right? I mean, we've all seen James Bond, right? We've seen Casino Royale and a lot of these films where you have, again, the high stakes poker game and the suspense, and you see how the cameras, how they play it out with such a suspenseful thing or whatever. But I think there's certainly a sophistication that comes to that. The guy with his chips stacked high. You see some rappers even with, even on their album covers where they got stacks of chips and whatnot, like, I'm so good that I just win all the time. And, that fantasy of having, owning the table and whatnot. And then after what comes with the success, the clothes, the money, the cars, the women, so again,
I'll give you a better example, Paul. Like, if you remember did you ever see the movie called 21?
I've heard of it. I didn't get a chance to see it, but
so that's actually based on a true story from a bunch of students and a professor from IT. I think it was something like that. I can't remember.
Okay, MIT, probably.
MIT, yeah, it was. They were really good at math. They counted cards, and that's very illegal to do in any casino in any state. So they had all these singles, like they would go behind their backs and go like that when it was like hot or something like that, and they counted the cards. They literally, because they kind of picked it up after a while. They were like strip them down, like, oh, you have a computer. Like sometimes you used to sneak a little small computers in your foot, kind of figure it out, the code and all that stuff. But everybody, any way to get an upper edge. So they literally counted cards and win the game. Imagine if you can do that and you can win every game, every casino you go to. How much money you can make?
Yeah. So what happened at the end? They eventually got caught, or they?
They got caught eventually, yeah. And the team got broken up and everything like that because the professor got really greedy. You need to watch the movie, bro. It's a very good movie. I recommend you watch
21. Okay. All right, I'll look it up. I'll definitely look it up. Yep, for sure. But But I'm just thinking for the average person, even for the chat, again, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Again, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly as you join us. Do you gamble? And if you do gamble, why do you gamble? Is it just recreationally? Has it ever gotten to a point where it became a problem? And if you were able to come out of that on the other side, how did you get over it? Or what was going on in your mind as you were gambling? Was it just like I said, the dopamine? Was it the euphoria of it? Was it the excitement? I mean, what was it that made it so, irresistible that you couldn't just stop from doing it for long periods of time? And what was your gambling of choice? Is it online gambling? Like I said, I mean, with these phones now, like I said, Vegas has had a major drop in tourism, in part because, again, and you go to Vegas, like they have these huge gaming rooms. I mean, especially for the sports betting, they have these big 100-inch wide TVs and whatnot, so you can see all the games and you see all the numbers and everything kind of running at once. But I think that's kind of losing some of its appeal. And people just like, I can do the same thing on my phone. Why play the slots? I mean, I can't stand cigarette smoke at all. And it doesn't even matter if you go into the non-smoking section. I mean, it really doesn't matter, because it's not like smoke says, oh, that's a non-smoking section, I can't go in there. The vapors are still going to get there. So I didn't even find it entertaining. But again, there's so many slot on game apps that you can play right on your phone or tablet that, do you really need to go there and be in that environment, which is going to cost you money? Because think about not only just the gambling, but just think about, okay, you're there, you're gonna buy a drink or two, right? That's money. Or you might get yourself some wings or some food or something. So you're going to be spending money.
Sometimes you get the drinks for free.
Usually that comes with some sort of membership, right? I mean,
I'm not sure.
Some of these, because I know we go down to Atlantic City quite a bit now, especially in over the holiday, the winter break, because of the cheat rates and everything. If you are like a member, like they have all these membership tiers and whatnot, and if you're constantly spending money down there, then they'll give you that. But the thing about it's like anything else, you got to spend more than they're gonna give you. Like I know one time we were down there, they were giving away these luxury robes and stuff. But these are like for the big ballers. These are the guys who are spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So it's almost like you're not getting. It's not like they're giving it to you for free. They're taking advantage of the fact that you're spending money down there, and the fact that just like with any casino or facility like that, the house is always going to win, right? If it ever got to a point where they started losing more than they were taking in, they would stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know that it's rigged. I remember that movie. Did you ever see that movie? I'll give you one. You ever see Casino?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean that was Joe Pesci and I forget. Oh, geez, I'm having a Robert De Niro and those guys. And that was in the days when when the mob ran Las Vegas. So you're talking about like the 70s, the mid to late 70s, when the mob, they were, obviously the mob started Vegas. So for 30 years they essentially ran Las Vegas, and this was like in the final heyday. But they would make sure. There was a scene in the movie where if a guy was too good, like he was winning too much, they would actually create situations and scenarios where the guy would stay in the casino. Like either his car would be late or something that, whatever. And they would say, oh, we're sorry this has happened and whatnot, but hey, why don't you just keep playing? Hey, your credit's good here. Here we keep playing. The guy was up, and then he wound up losing money sort of at the end. So again, they rigged it in such where you're always going to put more into it than what you get out of it. No matter how nice they make the place look, it looks very sophisticated. It looks very adult. But you had all these people standing in line and get these nice velvet robes that they were giving out. But these are the people you have to spend at a certain tier Not to mention the fact that you got to stay at the hotel. And again, when you stay at the hotel, there's the amenities, there's the food, there's the restaurants. So yeah, you're gonna spend some money there. So for them to invest money in a, I don't know, I'll be generous and say $100 robe that they're probably making for $10 in China or something like that. You're not getting anything for the money that you're investing. But
Well, absolutely, I
some
agree
people
100%
look.
of that. Let me throw a question at you right now. 'Cause I know you're non-gambler person,
Right.
and I'm a socialized gambler. If it comes to like an affair that the money is going to a volunteer firefighter or a special like non-profit organization, would you play like
I don't think I don't. Well, you can have that for anything. I mean, I would just give the money,
Mhm.
right? I mean, just like here, just like I said, I don't need to necessarily participate. Like my kids, they were at some sort of they had some sort of autograph signing. You had like former like New York Giants players. I think Otis Anderson, he used to play for the New York Giants. That Super Bowl team in 1986. He was there, but they were like auctioning off all kinds of memorabilia and stuff, but for like ridiculous money. Like a signed autograph was like $200 or something, or signed memorabilia item was like and they say, yeah, a lot of it's going to the charity or whatever. But again, you break it down, the guy's not there for free, right? You're not going to get these athletes to come out there and sit for 3-4 hours, whatnot. You get fees. We go to Comic-Con, right? All those people are there. They're paid to be there,
what
and they're
the
going to be
actors?
the actors, the wrestlers, all those
Actually,
people.
actually, you're wrong on that.
Okay.
So they make their monies off the autographs. The only ones that nobody who's there famous wise is getting paid for anything. Even the booths, the star, let's say voters, votes. Oh man, I can't. I have the word right in my tongue when we bought artists lightsabers last year. Votes,
Oh,
Vaders.
Vader's vault.
Thank you. It was a goddamn tongue twister on me tonight. He actually is paying Comic-Con to be there. He's the other there around actually.
No, that's different. For a vendor to be there, yes.
Yeah.
But when
Now,
you go to
so-
when you go to like these major events, when you got stars there that are charging crazy money, you think they're traveling there on their own dime?
Yes.
I don't think so. It depends on the star. I remember William Shatner. I think he was at one of these things, and it was like, I mean, the autograph price was off the chain. But I seriously doubt he's traveling there on his own dime. If you're an A-lister, they're taking care of you. At minimum, your flight to get there is taken care of. Because I remember even Jim Cornette talking about it as well. Because he goes to all the WrestleCons and conventions and whatnot. There's appearance fees that the promoter of the event has to pay these people to be there, and then there's also the opportunity to sell merch. But you're not going to spend a $500 plane ticket to get somewhere, and that plus hotel. So for lodging, hotel, food, transportation to and from the facility, those guys get paid, and they bring their merch to sell that. I don't know if any celebrity. I remember even bodybuilders, because again, I follow the bodybuilding world. If you're a top Mr. Olympia competitor, they're paying you to come to Europe to FIBO, which is like a major thing in Europe or whatever, and they're bringing their pictures and autographing and all that too. It's I've never unless you're just trying to get ahead. I don't know of anybody who's not getting paid to be there.
I'll give you a great example. I'll give you Comic-Con meets bodybuilding in one. Kai Green. You are probably familiar with him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he actually paid on his own dime a booth. He didn't want to be down with the other guys. He wanted to do it. These guys usually charge about, at the time, I'm talking about like before COVID, about $40 autograph and picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I walked around. I saw his booth. I went over there. He wasn't there. He was in the middle of an interview for Generation Iron. Actually, he was going to do an interview. Mm-hmm. So I asked the guys, like, "Yo, is Mr. Green gonna be around anytime soon?" And he goes, One, don't call him that because he hates it, and two, he be back in like the next 30 to 45 minutes. I recommend you walk around and come back. We start bullshitting. I go, okay, how much is for photographer? So I make sure I have cash for him. He goes, nothing. I'm like, we mean nothing. He's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for the cash. He paid on his own dime. His travel and everything for the fans. Comic-Con is mostly for the
that doesn't happen all the time, because I know for a fact. I know for example, for the Mister. This was a few years ago when because he retired relatively early from he couldn't keep competing. He wanted to actually come back to the Olympia. In order for him to come back, he wanted major concessions from the Olympia in order to be there. So again, when you talk about the events, put it this way: if his name is on any flyer, you can guarantee that he's getting some money for that, because in his mind, or any of these celebrities' minds, you're using my name and face and likeness to market your event. So, okay, Kai Green's going to be there. That's going to bring 500, 1,000 people to the event. How many people are going to spend?
Now, I know for a fact, like if you go to a Star Trek convention, that's a whole different world now we're talking about. They bring people into that.
That is true. I'm just saying the fun fact that Black Man says, yeah, William Shatner's face was the Michael Myers mask from the Halloween franchise. Yes, that is true. Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes to Star Trek convention or Star Wars convention, they pay the actors to be there. Now, Comic-Con is a little different because it's a mecca of everything.
Right.
Like they pay, the con. Again, I'll ask Q tomorrow or Sunday about that. He knows everything about it more than I do. I'm pretty sure these actors, I know they get the hotel paid for. I know that for a fact. They pay the hotel. The flights on them to travel. Food is usually food there. You saw that when we went to the press passes last year. Food is all over the place for us. For that. Now, they make their money on autographs. Like if I pull one up by now, the actors who played in Avengers, who Olsen, right? He's going to be there this year, right? He's asking about $150 for his autograph, right?
Yeah.
If he paid, say, $500 for a flight ticket, argument's sakes, he can make that in like less than an hour.
Oh, he could. I'm just saying, I think it depends on what you negotiate. If you're like I said, if you're going to be on the flyer,
so these big list actors, you will not go up to the tables like we did on Comic-Con. I dropped $40 to get her autograph, or $40 to get his autograph. It doesn't work like that with them. You have to go on comiccon.com and pre-order their autograph. So they know how many out. And sometimes they don't have enough. They cancel. I've seen them cancel literally hours before the con.
But yeah.
That's kind of fucked up in my opinion.
They can get away with it because someone's they're gonna get their money somewhere else, or they might have got or someone gave them a better offer. So would you rather go to Comic-Con and pay your flight and whatnot? Hey, we'll pay for everything. You just come see us. People make that kind of negotiation as well. So
from my understanding, they don't pay. They make their money off the autographs. That's why I go there mostly.
Right.
Like that's what I
no question. It's
behind me. I have my collections.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, but see, here's the thing: as much as again, the topic we're talking about tonight, for those who are coming in, obviously we're talking about gambling. And again, I'd be very curious. Black Man, he put in his in the chat that he's a blackjack guy. And so certainly, but we're curious. Anybody else, certainly in the chat, if you enjoy some level of gambling, whether it be poker, blackjack, roulette, slots, anything that you're into, anything that you might have got hooked on for a while, where it's like, oh, I might be spending a little bit too much on these things. Now, again, blackjack, I'll play the online game. I've never sat like at a blackjack table. That I've never done. But again, you even said, like I said, even in the movies, though, you see like a glorified picture sometimes. Like again, Vegas gambling. There's a suaveness about it. You're dressed up, just like I said, just like the banner slide for the show tonight. The guy's very well dressed. He's macho looking. He's got money. He's probably got women at his feet. And the times I've gone to Vegas or Atlantic City, I've seen that. The guys who got money because of the women on their arm. And there's something to that an image that some people may be attracted to. But I think for the average everyday person, I think certainly we talked about, obviously there's a hope of winning, no matter how small those hopes are, because someone won. And one thing that I also looked up, when I was putting the slides together, I didn't really get a chance to go in detail, but I wanted to kind of show this. So there used to be a myth that used to be said, that they said most lottery winners. So again, the persons who hit the Mega $1 Million jackpot or whatnot, most of those guys lose money. And this is from Forbes magazine from 2023. And he says that's really not true. Now, do some people go broke? Yes. Just like you have athletes that go broke. You know, you've had, basketball players who made hundreds of millions of dollars, 100 million. There's a Anton Walker, I think his name was. He played for the Celtics. He lost like $100 million in salaries and whatnot. And then they went into this expose about how he lost the money. And he talked about, friends and hanging on and partying and women and all this kind of stuff. I mean, yes, people have gone broke, certainly in the sports field or whatnot. And I'm sure there's people who've gone broke from the lottery, but for a lot of people, more times than not, and this is what this article gets into. I wasn't able to capture the snippets, but you can find it from Forbes magazine from, again, August of 2023, where they're talking about the truth about it. Some people who, if you do win, more times than not, you're not going to go broke. And more people than not, their lifestyle or their level of life satisfaction usually increases when you win. But as I showed early in the slides, especially if you're talking about the Powerball or the Pick Six or whatever it is, it's still 1 in 300 million.
So I just want to comment that may go a little well with our conversation. I know you haven't caught up to date with wrestling stuff. So wrestling, the TKO just did a big deal with Saudi Arabia. In 2026, they're getting paid about $250 million to bring WrestleMania there, and the contract signed and dried in ink by now.
Yeah,
people who are average American are outraged as Americans, blah blah blah, whatever. But that goes to a good example of what you were saying. Sometimes they get paid to be there too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, and who's gonna give you the best deal? Because again, as a business person, you want the best deal. So do you go to a place where you have to pay your own way, or do you go to a place where they're going to pay everything for you and it's guaranteed and they're going to pay you up front before you get there? Those are things that you typically negotiate. Now, you may do a favor for a friend, say, hey, can you help us out here? Obviously, we don't have the money to pay you, what you may be charging me. Some people, $5,000, $10,000, whatever the appearance fees is. Hey, we might not have that. If you know the guy or whatever, say, hey, look, I'll help you out or whatever. Some guys are generous. I know Kai Green, obviously, he thinks very differently from a lot of other people. So, so it wouldn't surprise me that he would do something like that. But when it comes to other endeavors, I think it depends who he's facing. If you're talking about like the main business partners, he's very, very intent in terms of what his when it comes down to business. But as far as his image to the masses of people, again, a very different persona. But yeah, I mean, I'd be curious from folks in chat. Like I said, if you do, gamble, like I said, what is the again, what is that appeal? What is that itch that you can't scratch through, again, another vice, if you want to call it that? But then again, we're talking about Comic-Con, and the one thing I can't get on gamblers about, or anybody for that matter, is, again, what you spend your money on. Because for some people, like, you could say you could spend $150 in a casino and, again, lose the money and walk out, or you can go and spend money on, again, I know a lot of people value autograph signings and you're willing to pay, top dollar, $500 for an autograph or what have you. Now, in my world, in my, thought process, very few people's signature is worth that much. But again, if it's of value today,
I agree a certain point. So it depends who the actor is and the wrestler, whoever you're meeting there at Comic-Con, right? Mm-hmm. So some of them I am not willing to pay. Like the two two people I regret not paying it because I'm a huge fan of him. One, I'm never gonna ever meet him because he passed away. Stan Lee. Stan Lee was charged $100. It wasn't about the $100. His line was wrapped. I am not fucking kidding you, dude. Wrapped in half of the arena. You were gonna be there half the day, and I didn't want to lose my whole con on one person.
Right.
The second one is I was with my cousin. It was $80. Didn't care about the money. Skywalker was there. Luke Skywalker. I can't even talk today for some reason.
Oh, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, $80, picture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. He talked me out of it. But now I look back, like, man, I should have gotten his autograph that day.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's probably be $150 most likely with the new Star Wars movies and everything he's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it depends who the person is.
Now, the question I have for you, then, I mean, since we're going to go into this space a little bit, because, like I said, for me, at the end of the day, what a person does with their disposable, and again, I want to emphasize that, with their disposable income, it's not for me to judge.
Of course.
It just isn't. I mean, but people do that, right? I remember when Kevin Samuels was on, people were, dropping cash apps of like $300, $400, $500 on his platform or whatever, and people say, "Oh man, I can't believe people." I mean, in one night he may make more money in a month than most people. More money in a night than most people make in a month, through cash apps or whatnot. So I never try to judge. Again, as long as your responsibilities are paid, your home, your family. So everyone's taken care of, whatnot. You got some disposable income. I mean, I bought a lightsaber last year, and I remember calling my wife up. I was like, "Honey, I think I'm about to buy this lightsaber. We good?" So she was like, "Fine, go ahead, get your lightsaber." You know what I mean? So again, how people spin on things. It's and if you get something out of it, if it's enjoyable or whatnot. It's not hurting anyone or whatever. Then I say, go spend your money. But for you, since you are a collector, since you are a person who invests in autographs and things of that nature, what's the end goal for you? Or is there one? In that, it's just something that you just want to have your
question. I actually just text CQ up because now I'm fucking curious. Mm-hmm. So he goes, sometimes there are two different options. There is guaranteed prices, meaning this is what you're going to get at a Comic-Con. If the fans show up or not, that's what you're going to make.
Right.
And the other one is guaranteed special prices plus it. Mm-hmm. And the other one is if you're going to pay for your own table, they will pay for your travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got option A or option B, guaranteed or travel. You can get both. So if you're getting guaranteed, you got to pay for your travel, your food, and everything else. Right. If you're paying for the table, they will cover one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends on the level you are. Higher rank, more willing they're going to pay you.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you're a promoter of the event, I would think they would give you everything.
Yeah.
They pay for your travel. They'll pay for your table or whatever. Again, if they're going to use you in advertising materials, then I would think that, they're gonna roll out the red carpet for you to be there at their event because they know that you're going to draw a ton of people to you. Because even when we were there, like I think Mick Foley was there and Rikishi was there from last year. And like I said, when we were there were very little lines. I mean, it wasn't like lines around maybe we came there a little bit later, or the lines are going to come.
I'm sending you the conversation in the back chat so you can see what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that can happen.
Mick Foley, I met twice. Mick Foley never had a big line ever, and he's actually the nicest one to me too. I don't believe it or not.
Well, you can't kind of afford it because you don't have. So again, that's the thing. If you don't have the lines, but people still kind of patronize you and whatnot, then you would think you'd want to be nice to them at that point because they don't have to. For the guy who's like you got lines around the block, then and again, you can still be nice, but I'm just saying. But you don't necessarily have to.
Right now, when I met, and I know he passed. He can rest in peace. J. David Frank, aka Tommy Oliver, aka Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Ranger, twice Black Ranger. To me, again, it could be because he was recovering from an asshole. He was a little bit injury. Excuse me, coming off an injury.
Right.
He was a little bit of a dick. I'm not gonna lie to you. But CQ has met him. He goes, he's the most wonderful guy. I'm like, do you want to divorce your wife and marry him? Like, you looked at me like, oh, no.
Mhm.
But so everybody has a different outtake with him.
Yeah.
So not as many. So my outcome of me collecting autographs is for my pleasure.
Right.
That's it.
So you're not looking one day to like, you know what, I'm just going to take all these and resell them or what have you.
No, only reason I cannot resell them because I personalize them to myself.
Mhm.
If they ask you a question, I don't remember if you remember that asking us that question. Actually, you didn't get an autograph. That's why. So when you get off, you ask you a question. The agent usually takes the money. Usually, not always. Sometimes they do it themselves. Because, would you like this personalized? Yes or no? And I say yes. Like, oh, who do you like it right into? Oh, Peter. I just do the short Peter, make it easier. And I usually joke around with him a little bit. I go like, $10, you know, I get free autograph. You can't pronounce my real name. Like, what's your name? Panayotis. He's like, huh? When I met the original yellow, no, I'm not. I'm lying to you. Original Black Ranger and original Blue Ranger, they were going back and forth arguing about this. Like, and I went up to him like, the Black Ranger, like, I bet you I get a free autograph if you can't pronounce my real name. Like, what is it? He's like, you know, bullshit. He goes, I pull my wallet out. Here's my license. He goes, I'm calling you what wants to call it. He calls the other guy over, like, yo, try to pronounce his name. His name is Morse McCall. They're literally going back and forth 20 minutes. So they were very, very nice guys. Again, they're still very popular in the Power Ranger community. Maybe not to you or to somebody else. The Power Ranger community is crazy. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So to me, it's for my pleasure. It's for my hobby. Like, listen, I go to work crazy hours, and you know that. We spoke personally about that.
Yeah.
I take care of my mother. I spend maybe $100 a year on video games. That's it, $100. Nothing more than that.
Yeah.
I don't spend a lot of money. And the most I spend is Comic-Con. I usually bring between $2,000 and $3,000 on me. Do I ever always spend that? No, I don't. I usually bring most of it back home with me, and then it goes right to bills, or I put it away for next year.
Right.
It's because I do enjoy that. It's my one time of the year I can forget about everything and just have fucking fun.
Yeah. And like I said, disposable income, again, have at it. Like I said, I got no problem. So again, I don't have a problem in per se of gambling or, you know, or gamblers in jail. Like I said, I got no judgment for that. But I do have a judgment when, again, is the money that you're spending. Like I said, so we're like going back to my dad again. I mean, we really got to a point where you're asking me for money, but you're spending a lot of money every year on gambling tickets, on lotto tickets. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's to me is where it started to get iffy and whatnot. It's like, why are you coming to me? Because obviously, you know, the first shout out to Braxton the Steak Fiend in the building tonight. The first Yellow Ranger Thigh Trang.
I do apologize. I misspoke.
She's a Porsche been to see since 2001. Yeah. But that's where it got contentious. And that's when it got really to be a problem. So again, as long as your stuff is taken care of, what you do, whether you're into gaming, whether you're into collecting, whether it is, you know, travel. I mean, whatever you want to do with your money, it's, you know, I don't have an issue with. What I would, like I said, what I would also have an issue with is simply the accessibility of, again, a lot of these apps. You know, because they talk about age verification and things of that nature. I don't know how it works in that world, but when you have adolescents, as one of the articles that I listed earlier, when you have those guys say that these adolescents get access to these online games.
Bro, and there's a better one. Yeah, a better one right now. You have a lot of skins on video games, you got DLCs and all this stuff. All right. There are a bunch of multiplayer games, open world. Here, let me look it up. There are a bunch of those games like now, and like Grand Theft Auto, for example, is one of them, and Call of Duty. You know, when it comes to Z-Bucks and all that stuff, kids are stealing parents' credit cards to buy this stuff.
Yeah,
think what I'm telling you right now. and it's not cheap either. We're talking about a couple hundred into the thousands.
Yeah.
Think about it. Kids are gambling before they know what gambling is.
Yeah. And to me that's a danger. So again, I don't know as far as with the mobile companies, with Apple, with the platforms, is there any way, and I don't know how they can stop it. Like, you give your kid an iPhone at age 12 with all that power, and what you download stuff, who's doing any kind of verification to say that these kids should be having access to this, and if they do get a hold of their parents' credit card or something like that, then they're going to find out later on. It's like, whoa, where'd this come from? What are all these gambling sites and whatnot? So I don't think there's any way to prevent that as well. So it's but it's definitely becoming a problem with these teens, or like I said, even before teenagers, and so what happened to her? Oh, she was. Oh, he's talking about the
she was in a car accident, a very fatal car accident. That is correct, and yes, she was 27 when she passed.
Yeah,
that is accurate.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
She was a great actor and a great martial artist.
Indeed. So that's the thing that and I'm just wondering, certainly with economic conditions being the way they are, again, as people get stressed, some people turn to different vices, right? Some people turn to drinking, some people turn to corn, some people turn to whatever the vice is. Some people will turn to something to kind of deal with problems, and certainly gambling can certainly be one of those. But again, I can't outright say, oh, well, gambling's wrong or what have you. I mean, anytime you spend disposable income on anything, look, I may not agree with your choice. I might not have spent my money on whatever that is. Like, I won't spend $200 on a pair of sneakers ever. I mean, that's just way behind. They could be the Jordan 1s or whatever, unless I plan to
I agree with you. I think
to take them in order to resell them. I mean, that's just a little too pricey for my blood for a pair of athletic sneakers or trainers or what have you. So again, we all have our limits when it comes to what we will and won't be able to do. I think certainly if you are gambling, I certainly agree what was posted earlier. Definitely set a limit, set a budget. I think your guy from the True North Beer Company said that. Yes, set a budget and stick to it. If you can, leave your credit card out of harm's way, so to speak. So again, if you do run out of money, you're not. And now, because all these casinos now have ATMs in them, right? You can get money as long as it's in some sort of digital account, whatever. I mean, you can get whatever you want. So yeah, if you do go there, and if you think there's a temptation to do that, then maybe you shouldn't go. Well, like I said, go, just leave your credit cards at home and only take the cash that you bring with you. And when that cash is done, then you get out. Then to me that makes sense. But the idea of gambling, I think there's something that's very almost innate within human beings in general. Like I said, I consider myself pretty competitive, and I like to win. I like the thrill of winning, even when I'm playing a video game. The idea of going to getting to the next level and beating and overcoming an opponent. Yeah, I get, there's certainly a dopamine impact to that. And I guess for those who gamble, it's the same kind of thing. So again, I'm not here to discuss necessarily the science of it, of what causes it, but certainly for those who who get into it, just know that what you're getting into. And they do have sites like, and again, we're not advertising here, but 1-800 Gambler or whatever it is that you need to make sure if you have a problem to get that resolved. But you definitely don't want to put your livelihood, or certainly not the livelihood of your family, at risk. And hopefully you'll be able to read those signs of it before you start getting yourself in a situation you can't get out of. But in a lot of ways, I'm actually happy. I think that what I'm happy about with the gambling is that you don't have to go necessarily to the illegal sources. I'll just say that. Like I said, because back in the day when
one a day. But here's the thing: the legal source, you're right. but there are people that are doing illegal stuff on Fortnite, for example, one of the most popular kids games. Kids are paying all this money for hackers to give them an upper edge. Think of that now.
Yeah. Yeah, and shout out to Braxton. He's talking about, yeah, so anytime they've tried to go for age a verification, especially if, in the corn, they tried to do it 2 or 3 years ago and it didn't work, and Nigeria is trying to do it as well. Yeah, it's hard, because again, you just don't know, and people, privacy laws and things of that nature. How do you know who you're dealing with, And who's to say that even if you are an adult who got it legally, who's to say that your kids can't get it? If back in the day we had cable, and we used to be able to find the cheat codes for the cable box to get the after hours movies and stuff. Who's to say?
Oh, I remember that.
So who's to say you can't? Who's to say you can't? Who's to say you can't get? It's you in some ways it's actually easier now to do that, unless you got your phone set up with the digital palm print and all that kind of stuff, and that is available now, facial recognition and whatnot. So
my favorite one now is like you can get like you said you used to do back in the day, get these little black boxes for to get all the free shows and movies and stuff.
I know. Yeah. So obviously, so again, it's gambling has always been sort of an interesting thing to me as we start to wind down.
The only thing I want to add to this conversation with the gaming system, how it is, there should be a way to verify somehow, some way, who's playing and the credit card is going through is a kid versus a parent. Because imagine your daughters, one of your daughters, was playing Fortnite, and all of a sudden you see $5,000 charge on your credit card. How happy would you be?
You wouldn't,
You're gonna murder her, most likely.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't murder her, but
not literally, express her in speech.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. There would be a conversation.
Yeah, because obviously it goes through PlayStation plays the company, whatever. So you go PlayStation, and then PlayStation goes, "You made the charge. We can control that." But it has to be a way to control that, so kids are not gambling before they know what gambling is.
Yeah, and so that just as a reminder of parents that guard your credit cards, your information where you store stuff, your passwords. Protect your kids from that stuff before they are, so they can't get themselves into trouble. And then, fortunately, I don't know anyone personally who's had, been in that situation. I think I might have had one of the guys on one of these panels may have talked about that, had their kid got access to some credit card line of theirs or something like that. But again, it's been mostly rare. And I don't know anyone personally who's had to go in and endure that. And really, I don't know any outside of my dad, who I talked about earlier. I really don't know anybody who I would classify as someone addicted to gambling. Alcohol, yes. Drugs, yes, but not the gambling. And
my dad knew somebody, and it just came to me as we were talking now. So we were at a bar. It was a private club. So you had to be a member to get in. My dad was a member, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was his son, so I was allowed in there. So he's bullshitting over there with his friends. So we had dinner there. So I'm having a drink. In private clubs, usually a lot of smoke. So I'm having a cigar, mind my business, drinking my whiskey, just mind my business. And my dad's friend, goes up to my father first. He goes, man, Johnny, I'm in a bad situation. Can I borrow a couple $100? I'm like, I can win it back. You get it back into the night. And my dad looks at him like, no, I'm not lending you money, dude. So, his friend Pete goes to his friend, like, dude, I'll just slap you across the fucking face for just gambling your money. Well, you got kids out, bro. Then he comes up to me, and my dad goes, don't you even think about asking my son.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my dad like, what the hell is going on? I'll tell you later. And he explained to me he has a really bad gambling problem. Like, he's a great father. He got divorced because of this reason.
Right.
And unfortunately, the bug bit him too hard.
Yeah.
And I'm cooler about, like, okay, gambling for pennies, for example, for fun. What are you going to lose for pennies? Come on now. They're pennies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even you will gamble for pennies. Like, we're going to have a
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pennies. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about like big numbers, like $20 or $50 or more, and 100 and stuff like that, no, I'm good. I walk away.
Mm-hmm. Do you even? Well, you tried to get me to bet on the game last week when you were up in the first half. But I'm saying, but is that something that you normally do? Like you'll bet, like say on a football game, yeah, I bet the Jets win. I'll bet you $50 or something. Do you do that?
I won't ever bet money on a game. And like I told you, I'll bet. I'll shave my head completely bald. You gotta grow your beard out. Again, that was a friendly bet. It was for fun.
Gotcha. So you never like games or whatever. You never put up a fight or something like that. You never put up
a raffle. Sometimes a raffle. That's it.
Yeah.
One time I remember I was back in young age, back in New York still. They were doing a little raffle for the Yankee game. I can't remember who they were playing. I think it was against the Mets actually. Worst series, and the Yankees ended up winning.
Yeah, it was 2000.
Yeah, it was around that time. You're right. So I put $5 in. What could $5 can do to me? Nothing, right? I end up, because the person who we kind of had to guess the score. We had to split the money to 50-50 because we were both very close. We were off by like 1 or 2 numbers.
Yeah.
But except that, for fun, like $10, 20 the most I would put down anything that.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that.
Yeah.
For a fight, I would never put money on a fight because the fight can go either way.
Yeah.
Even because I know fight personally because I'm a martial artist. A fight that you can see on paper, he has it. No. The fight can go anyway. Just a spinning roundhouse kick or a spinning back fist can knock him out. And he has a glass jaw or whatever. Like, for example, the last Tyson fight, everybody was going, Tyson's going to cream this guy. Now imagine how much money put on Tyson. And Logan walked away.
Yeah.
If the fight was rigged, that's a whole different conversation, of course.
Yeah.
The next Tyson fight, Mayweather versus Tyson.
Not watching.
I'm gonna watch this weekend.
No way. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these, pseudo fights or whatever. I like what you want to see is what you saw last night. You said Canelo versus Crawford, and again, congrats to Crawford for pulling that fight out. He fought brilliantly. I like seeing that the true sport at its apex. Not these promotions where guys got no business fighting in the ring. It's I like boxing at its purest form. So again, what you saw last night, that's boxing. That is generational. That is what you want to see in sports. But I mean, the guy Logan Paul, he's going to fight this guy Tank Davis, who's like 70, 80 pounds lighter than him. Who wants to see? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, only reason I'm gonna watch the Tyson and Mayweather fight, I want to see how fun it's gonna be in their real age. Both of them are nowhere near peak anymore.
Which is hard to say. You don't. It's like your favorite singer, right? I mean, and this is one of the reasons I don't tend to go out to a lot of concerts these days, especially from acts from the 80s. Because again, these guys are up there. They're 60, 70, 80 years old at this point. The voices aren't the same. They can't hold a note the way they used to or whatever. They're falling off. That concert that we went to a couple months ago in Atlantic City, the guy fell off the stage. Fell off. Like he was doing his thing, whatever, forgot where he was. Fell off the stage.
He didn't have his walker with him.
I'm just saying, I don't want to see that. I want to. It's like you want to remember. You want to remember the people as you saw them, right? As you remember them. But when they're way past their time, I don't like seeing that at all. So leave all that stuff. You did your thing in boxing.
The only band I will go see right now if they played around here and they're not is Backstreet Boys reunion tour they're doing right now. Because they still have a pretty good voice to them, believe it or not, at their age, and they're up there in age too.
Yeah, well, they're still. I mean, they're my age, so I mean, they're still, Gen X or whatever. So that's fine. But I'm talking about when you, like I said, 80s acts. You're talking 40 years ago. So these guys are in their 60s. They're definitely well past retirement age and whatnot. And they don't dance the way they used to. I mean, especially if they were known for dance or really live performances, and now they can barely move and stuff like that. I can pass on those, but let's start to land this plane on this discussion. So any final thoughts that you have just on gambling certainly in general, and any wisdom you want to share just in terms of how people could go about, if
Yeah,
you are going to
actually,
gamble, what's the best way to go about it?
if you're gonna gamble, do it very, very respectfully and responsibly. When I say respectfully, respect your wallet. Responsibility goes hand in hand. So, like, I do it. I bring $100 when I go to casino. I leave my credit cards at home. I only bring my license, and that's it. I have a budget. If you lose $100, okay, fuck it. You lost $100. Paul does 20. Lost $20, nine to the world. But when you lose your whole goddamn paycheck, you don't have money to pay your rent or your car payment. Now it's a big deal. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said here, I mean, we don't have any, I don't have any judgment for people who gamble. Like I said, as long as your responsibilities are paid for, you got extra money, whether you want to spend on it, go to nice restaurants, go travel, or go to the casino and have some fun with the gambling. I got no issue with that. But I am curious though, since I'm not a gambler, what is the thrill for those who do? And maybe in the future, we might want to revisit this topic. Maybe bring up somebody who might have had an issue with gambling. So maybe that's something me and Peter, we can research and talk to someone who maybe had a gambling addiction and then they overcame it, or if they did have to pay for it, whatever. That's something we can possibly look for in the future, where we can bring some people on who can really explore the topic and what that word is like to be. To have that kind of addiction, because it's rare according to the stats, but it does happen to people. How were they able to overcome it is something that I would definitely be. What is that therapy? What is that cancel? Yeah, I've seen guys lose their entire paychecks. Yeah, absolutely.
Last thing I want to mention: if you go casinos now, I don't know about Atlantic, but up here at least in PA, all over the casinos is if you have a gambling account, please call this number. I think it's kind of funny. You see that in casinos.
All right.
Where they're trying to
Hang on. We're going to bookmark this. So Braxton, he just coined a new quote of his own design tonight. So again, when you take the slot, know what you got. Hey, I like that one. That's perfectly fine. So this is a Braxton the Steak Fiend original right here. Again, appreciate you being part of the conversation tonight. And so hopefully you guys, if you do travel, if you like to gamble and whatnot, I'd say again in the future, would love to know more about your experiences, and certainly if anybody who's had an issue with that or who's willing to talk about it, because that's a brave thing to talk about. You getting on something and then having the courage to overcome it. Stories like that we'd love to hear about, and for anybody who wants to share that story, we'd love to have them on the gray area so we can have certainly an open-ended conversation about that. But we want to thank you guys for being with us once again tonight. Hopefully this subject is interesting, get you thinking about certain things, about certainly wise and proper money management, but at the same time, how do you balance the things out? Because again, things in life are to be enjoyed, and if you get pleasure or enjoyment out of gambling, you shouldn't necessarily get judged for that, especially when people spend money on other things that are people may also find wasteful, but you could certainly do that. But feel free to use it. And the old school quote is, put your money on the wood and make your betting good. I like that one too. But thank you guys all for being with us tonight. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, and he is
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta. This is the Gray Area. You guys have a great week. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time.